How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here with me at ScrubGames, and once again another deck profile, and this time I'm going over my Agents of Destruction list for set 16. I do want to note that we haven't yet got the new updated Ban Errata Limited list, because Banner haven't dropped it yet as the recording of this video, and subject to this list will be subject to change depending on if they hit anything on this. Because I feel like nothing from this list needs to be hit. There's one card that I feel could be, but we don't know yet. But I did want to go over the list. But then, yeah, just do know when we do get a list, there might be some changes. But when that comes to it, I will go over and put the updated list in the comments down below. But if you do want to bypass this video and not just see the list and not actually listen to the turn-by-turn play or the reasons behind the card choices, you can still do that by going down below in the comment section, in the little box, and clicking on the link to the list on Deck Planet, which also a shout out to Deck Planet for being the best deck builder in the game. Amazing and versatile interface, and a great way to put decks together and even do cool things like hand randomizer. But without further ado, let's go into the list. So with the leader, back in 2020 we got an addition to the AOD archetype with some more support, with new cards and even a leader exclusively for the archetype. And with that we got a Bobbity, which then flips over into Boo when it awakens. Now both sides have a permanent where any cards that have AOD cards that have AOD, the AOD trait, have no specified cost, so it wipes the specified cost, similar to like Universe Warriors Universe 7 kind of does. So all your AOD cards, thanks to the leader, have no specified cost on if they're battle cards and stuff like that, or if they've got the AOD trait. Which that means that it only affects Unisons and potentially the extra card as well, but it doesn't affect the Unisons because they don't have traits. And then on the front side with Bobbity, he's got an auto where when he attacks, you can take up to one card from your life to your hand, and then look at up to 5 cards on top of your deck, grab any card that has Agent Destruction in its card name, add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So it's nice, you've got some self-awakening, so you can awaken as quickly as possible, because that's what you want to do with this deck, and you can get some good searching to maintain consistency. And for its awakening, it is when your life's 4 or less, you can draw a card, untap 1 energy and flip it over. It's a nice nice mid-range awaken of untap 1, draw 1. And then when you do awaken, you no longer have the draw, so you no longer have a way to gain advantage on the leader, but it does have 2 very strong abilities. And like I said, the permanent from the front side is also on the back side, and now it has 2 activate mains, both once per turn. First one is you can free play from your hand a Agent Destruction battle card that has an energy cost of 2 or less. So thanks to the Bobbity from set 6, that can easily make any of your free drops, because all the AOD are either 2 drops or 3 drops. So with the Bobbity on board, you can play any AOD battle card from your hand for free. It's fantastic, it's really good, and a very nice way to get as much usage as possible for more of your battle cards. And then with the Ever effect, it requires 3 energy as the cost, and this allows you now to play a Unison with AOD in its card name onto the board with 3 markers on it. So 3 energy to play a 3 mark Unison, or to play AOD Unison with 3 markers on, and that's really good because AOD has some of the strongest some really powerful Unisons. And that's it for the leader. So ideally with this lead, you want to try and awaken as early as possible so you can start free playing stuff out and spam the board and control. And this is more of a control mid-range control build to restrict your opponent on what they want to do. And to start off with the list, we have the only Unison I'm playing, so the AOD has 3 Unisons, and the one we're playing is Majin Buu, Assault of the Agent Destruction. The reason for that is it's a very, very strong Unison, very powerful, and great for offense and defense, and is the best Unison in blue. So it's a 4 specified cost, but you're going to be playing off the lead. Do note, you're going to be playing the Unison off the leader's effect. You're never going to be hard casting it at all. And this is a 20k Unison with double strike and blocker. And there's 2 marker skills, and either skill will be used during your turn or your opponent's turn. For the one you use in your turn, it's +/-0, where it's an activate main, you draw one card, then at the start of your opponent's next main phase, you untap it, and if your leader card is blue, you untap a mono blue energy as well. Now you're not going to get that extra energy untapped because your leader's not mono blue, it's black, but you will get the draw one and then untap, so you can swing with it and then untap it ready for it to use its blocker in your opponent's turn. And the skill you're going to use in your opponent's turn is the -1, which is an auto, where when your opponent attacks with a battle card, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of his deck. So the fantastic thing about this is that if your opponent attacks with a battle card, you can then block it with this, and then choose one of your battle cards, bottom deck it, essentially stopping 2 attacks with 1 card. That's just great. And also the fact that this gives you that extra draw that your leader doesn't allow you, because now it doesn't have the draw, and it also adds that necessary, that great defense as well. And now that is it for as I said, that's the only using we're playing. We're playing 3 because it can't be used as combo, but we want to have a lot of blue, so you can play your Babidi as turn 1, because the first thing you want to do turn 1 is play this card, Babidi, Overseer Destruction. So this is the way to keep the cost down and make your deck cost effective, because it's a 1k barrier, and you want to always get this out turn 1, because it's got 2 effects, well 2 permanents, which basically translate to this. Just like your leader, it makes all Agent Destruction battle cards, or cards with the Agent Destruction trait, have no specified cost, and it also reduces the energy cost of all cards that have the Agent Destruction trait by 1. So essentially, anything that has the Agent Destruction trait now has no specified cost, just like your leader already does, but also costs 1 less, which is fantastic. It also, and since the extra card, we're going to go over in a bit, has the Agent Destruction tag thanks to its permanent, it makes that free, which is really, really good, and a good way to help you awaken as early as turn 2. And as I said, you want to get this turn 1 because it's the linchpin of the deck, and that's why we're running in more blue, so we can, if we open with this, or have this in our opening hand, we can then charge a blue to play it, hardcast it, but sometimes you're not always going to see it, but there's a way that you can make sure you've got more copies of this in your deck, and that is by having Hatchak, Vengeful Agent Destruction in your deck. So having 4 of this and 4 of the Babidi means you potentially have 8 copies of the deck, because you just need to see either one to be able to play it turn 1. And that's because of Activate Main, where for 1 energy, you discard this card from your hand, then you play up to 1 Evil Wizard Babidi with energy cost of 1 from your deck or drop area, then shuffle your deck and look through it. Which means turn 1, you're going to, if you don't open the Babidi, and you have this, you're going to charge your energy, use Activate Main to play it straight from the deck, so you have the Babidi set up ready for the rest of the game. And if you do lose Babidi, and this is a great way to get it back by using its effect to get it back from the drop or get everyone from the deck. Either way, it just means you can always keep that Babidi on board to keep the cost down. It also does have a useful auto as well, where when this card is played, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less, and warp it, and then choose up to 3 battle cards in your opponent's drop area, and place them at the bottom of their owner's deck in any order you choose. So if your opponent's got these pesky things like Ribrian, the Goku Ape, or anything like that, or like Kortsukai, you can put those back at the bottom of the deck, so they have to look for them if they want to get them, to put them back in the drop. And now for the next Agent Destruction, we're going to go through the series of fantastic 2 drops that either give you advantage or hinder the opponent in some way. First one we have is the one that gives you advantage in Turles, Chaotic Ancient Destruction. So one thing to note as well with AOD cards, they're either 2 cost or 3, well the battle cards are either 2 cost or 3 cost. All the 3 costs are 20k power and all the 2 costs are 15k power. And for Turles, he has Barrier and Unique. So unique meaning just like Babidi, you can only control one on the board. If you could have more than 1, it'd be insanely good. It'd be so good. But unfortunately, you can only have 1. And Barrier means it's harder to interact with. Oh yeah, that's the one thing that I forgot to add that Babidi has in Overseer Destruction in its permanence, is that it also has the unique permanent before we had unique. So you can only control 1 of Babidi. Otherwise that'd be so good. If you can get loads multiple on board, you can make things free and that would be too good. But in Battle Turles, his auto is when this card attacks, you look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck and add any card among them, choose 1 card among them that has Agent Destruction in its card name and add it to your hand. And the good thing about that is that but I did have to release a clarification in the rulebook that Agent of Destruction and Agents of Destruction are both valid, because agents is a plural of agent. So if when they ask for things like that, or require things like that for a requirement to search or a condition, if it says agents or agent, they both work. Because a lot of people are getting confused, because if it has the S, it's not the same. They thought it was not the same thing, but it is. And the next one we have is our counterplayer deck, a very, very strong counterplayer as well in Android 13 Exterminating Agent Destruction. So this is our counterplayer. Remember, all the free costs are reduced to 2 by Barbary, and 2 drops are cost to 1, so it's a 1 cost counterplay. And it's very good in the fact that it's exclusive to this lead, and its skill is if your leader card is Agent Destruction, which our leader is. If the battle card being played has an entry cost of 3 or less, it's placed in its dropper in its opponent's dropper instead. Then you play this card, then your opponent chooses 1 card in the hand and discards. So not only do you stop something that's 3 cost of play, which is most floodgates, you also get yourself a 15k body to attack with, and then you also make them discard a card. So not only did they not get their play of what they want to play, but also losing an additional card from their hand as a punishment, which is fantastic, and you get 15k body on board. And to keep recycling the deck, it also has an auto of when it's played. You can choose up to a total of 2 Evil Wizard and or cards with Agent Destruction in their card name from your drop area and put them back in your deck. Which means if you lose any like Unisons, want them back in the deck, or any your extra card, or any of your AOD cards, or it will recycle more of these 13s, you can keep putting them back with this auto. And then not only do we counterplay, we also get a counter attack, and that is in the form of Garlic Jr. Immortal Agent Destruction. So his skill is simply negate the attack player this card, so it doesn't seem too great, but then you look at his auto, where when this card is played, you can play up to 1 Agent Destruction card with entry cost of 2 or less, other than copies that are already on your board from your deck. Other than copies of this card from your deck, and with his skills negate for the turn, then shuffle your deck. So essentially, you negate attack and play a 2-cost AOD that isn't Garlic Jr. with his skills negate for the turn. So if you haven't got Turtles on board, negate attack, play Turtles. Next turn, it's fixed lives to attack with. You're never going to be playing AOD because you want to keep it a counterplay. But the other target apart from Turtles that you want to play is Lord Slug Mighty Agent Destruction. So this is our super combo for the deck. Now it doesn't draw, but it's just that 0 cost 10k combo, which is useful. And you might be wondering, why would you want this on board with the Garlic? Well, if you think about it, the first thing is Garlic can negate attack, and then it's a 5k combo if you need be. And by bringing the Lord Slug, it for 1 energy gets you 15k combo worth of power on board. The other thing is, if once the turn's passed and Lord Slug has his abilities free, his auto is when your opponent activates a counterplay skill, they need to choose 2 cards to hand and discard it. So that means if they want to try, when it comes to your next turn, after you negate the attack, play this. If they want to counterplay anything, they're punished via the hand by discarding 2 cards. And it's not once per turn either, it's every counterplay they try to do. Now it is unique, so you can only control 1 on board, but still being able to search out a super combo from your deck while negating the attack is still very strong. And at the very least, it's a 15k swing if you need be. Now we're getting into more of the free costs. That's all the 2 costs we're playing. Now we get into the rest of the free costs, and the first one is a brand new one we got recently, which is Baby Chinemba Malefic Agent Destruction. And that's really good in the fact that it's a blocker, which is quite nice. So you can have AOD the block and help defend if you want to be defensive to help protect your setups, which we'll see in a bit. But it also has offering. So now not only do we have a blocker, we also have offering. And if you don't know what offering means, if you're like brand new or don't remember what offering does, essentially when you play something with offering, your opponent when you activate offering, your opponent can choose 1 card in their life and place it in a drop area. So essentially saying to your opponent, create a life. If they decide not to do that, you then get the draw 2 cards. So essentially you put a condition on your opponent where they either lose a card from the life to the drop area, or allow you to draw 2 cards. It puts them in a very bad spot where either way is good for you. So either closer to killing them or gaining more cards and more resources. It also does have a useful permanent where if your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode, you can negate the energy source skill in all areas on the card. This just means that later on in the game, if you have this in your hand and you want to charge it and your opponent's got 5 or more cards in rest, you can charge it without worrying about it being resting energy. And we play 3 of these because of the fact that we're going to free play off the leader, because remember, our leader has the activate main of once per turn. You can free play a 2 cost or less agent structure from your hand, and Barley makes this into a 2 cost. So again, that free play of a blocker, and either that card that then either crits your opponent in life or draws 2, is great. But we only run 3 because it's got a combo cost of 1 cost 10k, and you're not always going to have energy open for comboing. Next we have Broly Invincible Agent Destruction. Now this is a pretty good one. It allows you to get back cards from the drop if you need them by activating main, where by paying 1 energy and you discard this card from your hand, you can grab a card from your drop area to your hand that has Agent Destruction in its card name. Grab them back Unison if you need it back, any of your AOD cards, even the extra card we're going to see soon. So this is just handy, but its auto is a very good one. It's quite useful, where when it's played, you choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards with 5 costs or less, KO it, then you get a look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a card among them, add in your hand, and any other ones you looked at go straight to the drop. So that's really good, and because of the fact that it doesn't specify what type of card you add, and you just get any card, you don't have to show your opponent. Because remember, you only have to show your opponent what card you add if it specifies, so you can prove that the card you're getting is the type of card they asked for. But since this card says any card, you don't have to show your opponent. And also a good thing to note is that you can look at the cards one at a time to see if you want something. So if you want to avoid cards going to drop from the ones you looked at, you can look one at a time. So if you look at the top first one and decide you want that one, you can just add that without losing every card, so just add it. So you can do it one at a time, so you can look, and then stop at any one you want out of the 1, 2, 3, and then add one to your hand and put the rest that you look, and put any others that you looked at to the drop, which could be useful sometimes. And it adds to our green count because we want to have at least 1 green energy charge for this deck for the setup, because of our next card, Lord Slug Agent of Destruction. Now this is the only original Agent Destruction we use in our deck, or in the main deck, and that is because of its skills and what it sets up. So it's one of the old ones, still the same kind of condition, cost and stuff for its free energy. It's free energy 20k, and it's got an auto of when it's played, your opponent chooses 1 card in the hand, discard it, so it's got a bit of hand destruction, which is nice. Most of the green cards do. But it's more of activate main that's going to be use effects. Remember, this can be free played off your lead, and its activate main is once per turn by paying 1 green. You choose it to 1 Slug's Army card with energy cost of 3 or less from your hand, except from copies of Lord Slug Ancient Destruction. Yeah, so essentially, you pay 1 energy to play a card with Lord Slug's Army in its card trait from your hand with energy cost of 3 or less, which is great. And you might be thinking, why would you want to do that if you can't play every copy of itself? Because you don't really want because you can play the 2 cost super combo off the garlic, and you don't really want that on board all the time, and you can only have 1 on the board. Well, the reason you want that, that use this, is because you get to play this card, Lord Slug Super Namekian. This card is very strong. It's a unique barrier, which means it's hard to interact with, but you can only control 1. And the best thing about it is it's permanent, where Bond 2, which is easily set up because it just means you need 1 ever battle card on board, and you're going to have the Lord Slug to play any that on board which plays it, and you're always going to have Barbary on board to make the cost cheaper. So it says, when this card is in rest mode, your opponent can add cards to the hand from the deck using non-leader card skills, which essentially means that your opponent can't draw or add any cards from the deck unless it's from the leader's skill, which shuts off things like super combos, cantrips, things like that. Anything that wants to draw, it's not your leader, while this card is on board in rest, is stopped. So they can still do as much as possible, but they just can't draw or add from it. And this is great. This is normally what you want to try and get down and establish turn 2, because you can defend it with your counter play and counter attack, and you have enough defense to do that as well. And this is why you want to try to awaken turn 2 to get this out. And now we're going to continue on. That's all the AOD cards, and we're going to go on with the non-AOD cards. First, the next one we have is 2 SS Trunks Godseed Technique. Now, since your turn 3 players, you want to establish the Unison. And it comes out with 3 markers. This is a nice way to add things to stop your opponent from doing stuff and hinder them. So if they want to play something big, you can stop this. And since sometimes they might try to kill you or just get rid of this Lord Slug over trying to kill your Unison, then you can use this to stop them playing some powerful cards. So maybe play 2, because it's only until turn 3 you're going to play Unison, and Unison comes with 3 markers here, so if they can get rid of 2 markers it makes it dead. But it's just as a nice card to have when you establish Unison turn 3 to just stop something big they want to play. And adds to the blue account for if you want to play Bartley as well. Then we have our Overrealm of choice, because we don't really need our drop area, so we're playing Overrealm, and our choice is SS4 Bardock, because there's really 2 Overrealms you want to play. That well, unless you're blue, there's 3 users you want to play in any deck. It's SS Bardock fighting against Fate for aggro. There's Secret Identity for board control, and then there's Foo Shrouded for the game ender. And since we're not waiting until turn 6 to game end, we're trying to do it turn 3, 4, or even turn 2 if need be. Like we're trying to win as early as possible, not wait till the late turns. We're not worried about Foo. And since we have to worry about board control because we've got things that pop things on board and stop them, we're even stopping them from playing anything, we don't really need Secret Identity, so that leaves SS4 Bardock as our one of choice, because it's a great way to help aggro, because it's a 25k dual attacker, and 25k is the perfect sweet spot for aggroing, because most leaders are 25k, so which means if you're swinging with this, if they want to out combo, they have to use a super combo plus a 5k, or 2 super combos, and if they're using 2 super combos, they're overcomboing way too much, and that's half the super combos gone. And if they're using a super combo and a 5k combo, it means that while they're replacing the card they use for the super combo, unless that 5k they use draws, they're then using at least 1 card minimum to try and out combo, and you've forced out a super combo from that attack. And since that's 2 attacks, it's either pushing through damage or making them lose resources trying to out combo it. And you've played this for free, which is fantastic. Another card we can play for free is our secret rare choice, being Pan, Time Patrol Maiden. This is a really good counter attack, because if you have 3 or more energy, its counter attack is live, which allows you to play the card, and then your opponent can't attack with battle cards for the rest of the turn, but then it also makes it so you can't activate this counter skill for the rest of the game, which means if you can somehow put it back in your deck, or grab it out from drop to play it again, to use it again, you can use this counter attack skill. And while it does say 8 on the card, like most cards, you're not going to be paying that energy cost, because it's permanent, where it's reduced by 2 for each battle card in play. And by in play, that means you and your opponent, meaning that since turn 1 you're going to put that in Barbardy, turn 2 you're going to put that in Slug to play out Slug, you're going to have at least 3, so when you get to turn 3, also by playing cards for free off your leader, you can either get 4 on your board, but then with those at least, you can at least have Barbardy and Slug on board. So if you can play 2 battle cards, it's then live as a free negate. And even then, it doesn't just, like some cards do, reduce the cost on your opponent's turn, it's just reduced to either player's turn. So at the very least, you can use it for a counter attack if you wanted to. Or you can just, if you want to put more aggression just slam this down for free when you've got 4 more battle cards on board, and get that free 40k swing when you want to. It does also have a very useful activate main, where for 1 energy, when it's on board and you move this card from the game, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and take control of it. Meaning if your opponent's got something that's troublesome or that you want, or something that you can't remove or KO that doesn't have barrier, you can just steal it with Pan. And that is it for all the battle cards in the deck. Now you can see extra cards, and the first one is the extra card I was mentioning, the AOD extra card, being the Agents of Destruction Strike Back. Now, this counts as AOD because it's permanent, where it gains the AOD trait in all areas, which means it's now searchable with your leader, and reduced by 1 by Barbardy. Now remember that Unisons do not have traits, so they're not affected by Barbardy, but fortunately because the extra card gains that trait by the permanent, it is reduced by 1, so it becomes a 0 cost when you got Barbardy on board. And it's a really good card to help you gain that advantage and self-awaken quicker because of its activate main, where you look up to 2 cards, the top 2 cards of your deck, and add it up to, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, or up to 2 cards on top of your deck, add any cards among them that have AOD in their card name to your hand, and put any cards you don't add to your hand to the bottom of your deck. And then if you took at least 1 card with AOD with it to your hand, out of those 2 you looked at, you get to take up to 1 card from your life to your hand. And then once you've activated this, you can activate it another copy of the card for the rest of the turn, which means you can only do this once per turn, but it means it's a good way to help you awaken turn 2. Because say for example you go first, you're going to turn 1, charge, establish Babadi, play this for free, grab at least 1 AoD, use effect, take a life, your opponent has their turn, they attack you, you take a life, and now in your turn, your next turn, you can play another one of these for free, so they'll grab a card, take a life, and then swing your leader, take a life and get that search. So you now have 4 life to flip over, and now just start spamming things for cheap. So that's why we play 4 copies of this, so we can see at least, we want to see it 2 as soon as possible, or you can even recycle it with Broly as we've mentioned. And then the last card, which is the only card from 16 we're playing, but it is a relevant one, a very good one, is Support of the Dark Empire. So if you remember, or you've been playing this game for at least the UW block, back in last year at some point, I think back like in the spring, we got Evolution Battle, which was a set that reprinted quite a few cards and also brought some brand new cards. It was quite a decent set. And for each colour outside black, each colour outside black got a new negate, which was a token negate, which negate an attack and then play a token with blocker, which is very good. And since the release, I've outclassed the old sparking negates from set 5, apart from blue because blue had the best one. But they've been like some of the strong negates in every colour, almost every deck has one of that colour. And now finally black has one, because they didn't give black one last time because it's a bit too strong to give black any things like free counter plays or negates. But now black finally has one in support of Dark Empire. So what it does is if your leader card is mono black, which our leader is, negate the attack, then you can then play 1 Demon Realm token and it gains blocker for the return. And the token has 5k power and a 0 cost 5k combo cost, so at the very least if you don't use it to block, you can use it as a combo piece, which is nice. And like the rest of them, if your life is got the permanent of where if your life's at 5 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding a card from your life instead of paying the cost. And since you can be going down to 4 as soon as turn 2 at the earliest, this could be live and help extra defense. So it means when you establish that Lord Slug and it shuts off your opponent's draw outside the leader, they're going to want to target it. And now you have combo power to get out of it. You have this blocker and Baby Janemba to get out of it if you want to. You also have Support of the Dark Empire now to negate the attack, play a token that even block 2 attacks. Because remember, it negates 1 attack, then plays a token, and that token can then block in the same turn of another attack. So it technically stops 2 attacks. So it means now we're going to go with the turn progression of the deck. So turn 1 you want to charge a card, be it blue if you don't have Hat Check, you don't have a Babidi. To establish that Babidi turn 1, so turn 1 charge, get that Babidi on board. Turn 2, try and see if you can awaken as soon as possible. So you can use the effect to free play the Lord Slug instruction, make him discard a card, then pay down every 1 green you've charged to play out the Lord Slug Super Namekian and then swing with that. And then as long as that all stays, you're going to want turn 3, use the effect your lead to free play the pay free and bring out that Unison with 3 markers on it, so you can draw a card, then use the leader's effect to free play the Baby Janemba to force him either to crit a life or let you draw 2, and then give yourself a 20k blocker. So then next turn you can block with your Unison, bottom deck a card with Unison, a battle card with your opponent's Unison with your Unison effect, block with Baby Janemba, even block with Support of the Dark Empire, and even shut off plays with the TP Trunks and other attacks with your Garlic or your Pan times ML. And then once if you get past that turn 3 after establishing all that, you don't have free reign to do whatever you want, because then you have 4 energy open. You have that for your counter attacks, like plus playing battle cards, hard casting battle cards, and all that jazz. So normally you're going to be winning by turn 3-4 with the stack, and you have great defense to defend your cards that shut down certain things your opponent wants to do. And that is it for the deck. So thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this, feel free to give the video a like. If you do have any comments, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. Even if it's something that you, any ideas you had or any differences or anything you recommend, I'd love to hear from you so I can make changes and update my list and make it as effective as possible. And even if you don't agree with some things, just comment below what you don't agree with, and then we'll have a discussion about it. And also lastly, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Helps me get to my goal of 1,000 subs, which we're just over the quarter of the way there, and also helps you know when my videos drop. even then you can click the subscribe button, not the subscribe button, well, you can click the subscribe button to subscribe, but also the notification bell to get notifications when my videos drop. And that is all for me. I've been ScrubGames, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.